Once upon a time, there was a video that told the story about how to tell a story in a video. That's right. Let's go. Hello. This would be known as the foreword of the story, to let you know what's coming up in the narrative. It's important to have a narrative in your video to hold the attention of the viewer and to kind of have a whole completed thought with what you're trying to present as a content creator. Every YouTube video should tell a story. Whether that story is fiction or nonfiction, you should have at least some form of the 6 elements of storytelling within it. Setting. Set the scene. Where does this take place? If you change locations within your video, you might have to do this several times. Who are the characters? Is it you just being the host or presenter telling about a certain thing? Make sure to introduce the people in your video and define their role. Plot. The plot is the sequence of events that connects the audience to the protagonist and their ultimate goal.
Here's Johnny!
Conflict. Conflict is where the story comes from. In fiction, this creates tension and builds suspense. If your story has no conflict, the audience just won't care. Theme. The theme is what the story is really about. It's the main idea or underlying meaning. The narrative arc, which includes setup, tension, climax, and resolution. In other words, your story has to have a beginning, middle, and end. This video is going to be a little different because I'm going to show you not only behind the scenes on how I created the story, I'm going to show you how to edit said story together. And I started with the intro or foreword with this camera right over there. And one of the very first things that I do, now this is my process, this may not be your workflow, but if you're shooting with multiple cameras and you have a separate audio source, you want to just let that audio source record. For instance, right here, I'm recording right now, as you can see the levels. Level, can you see that? I have a microphone right here, and when I'm recording with different cameras, I will just let that go. I won't stop and start the camera over and over again, because in post, when you're editing, that's going to be pretty difficult to get it to all line up. Now, some programs will use, like Premiere Pro, will use an internal process that will line up the video with the audio, and that is, again, one of the reasons why I just kind of set it and forget it as far as the audio goes, using the audio as a kind of timeline track to keep everything in order. But we'll get more of that later. Right now, it's time to pack up and leave. Now, depending on how fancy you want to get and how much time you want to take, you can use 2 cameras. There's one there. And as I walk towards the door, there's another one right there. And that will show me walking out the door. Or you can recycle cameras. For instance, this camera right here is the same one I used inside. I just did this walk thing again. Now, if you do this, same camera right there, you have to remember, for continuity's sake, for instance, which hand was holding which case. I think I messed that one up. Now, after walking back and repositioning that camera, I fixed where my hands should have been for continuity's sake. Here I am loading up my car. I got a camera right there. I got a camera inside. Hi. It's a hot day, so you have to keep that in mind, whether or not your battery is going to wear out or whatever. So here I am, getting in the car. I'm about to start it, but I want to reposition that first camera to show me driving off. So I did that in the middle of that edit there. So I'm going to go ahead and start the car. The reason why you have multiple cameras is so that you can reposition cameras and you don't have to bring like 10 cameras with you. So here's the shot of me leaving. Camera over there. Looking both ways, of course. Heading down the street. And a beautiful shot as I go down this nice country road. Of course, I'm gonna have to turn around and come back to get the camera that's still rolling back there. So when you see YouTubers have all these fancy edits of them rolling down the road and everything, they're doing just what I'm doing now. They're setting up the camera, driving by, driving back, grabbing the camera and then moving on. It's kind of tedious, but it makes for a great looking video, especially if you want to show kind of a traveling montage of you going from one location to another, which we're about to do now. First thing we can start out with is a nice shot of me getting some gas. Of course, I had to come in here and set up all these cameras first of all, and then hope nobody got in my slot here. Oh, 238, that's a bargain. All right, I really actually do need gas. The RX-8 rotary engine really swallows it fast. Now you can turn off your cameras as you go. I just turned the one off in there to save the battery. That one over there is still running, and it's kind of susceptible to heat, so I don't want to leave it out in the sun too long. Now what I did is I'm looking here at the gas going, I moved that camera to there, which is sitting on the hood on a tripod. I got this camera over here pointing at the nozzle. Depending on how much detail you want to give on your montage of a trip, you can do this all day long. A little putting in the key, starting the car, all that. A little is good. Too much, probably lose people's interest pretty quickly. And away we go. So what I just did was put my Sony on the side of the road there so I could do a drive-by, again for the montage that demonstrates that I'm traveling somewhere. And I have a couple cameras in here. I'm turning around, by the way, so I can pass the camera. Usually you want to do it in a place where you're fairly confident it's going to still be there when you go back. Today, the narrative, the story of this video is how to visually represent the story you're trying to tell. This is the part where I'm driving by the camera. There we go. There we are. Hey, look at me. Now, if I wanted to, I could go back and turn the camera to show, you know what, I will. So I have to go back, turn the camera, then go back around again. It's a lot of work. When you're doing it by yourself, which I am today, I don't have any help, it's a lot more work. All right, here we go for a second pass. All right, I'm just gonna spin the camera around. You're still here, that's great. Right about here. The story within the story for today is the Eiffel Tower. We're gonna go visit the Eiffel Tower in Paris, Tennessee. There's an interesting, I think 1/20th scale replica of the Eiffel Tower. It's 60 feet high, and it would be a perfect little story within the narrative here. All right, here we go, second pass. Probably won't even get into fifth gear. There we go. Beautiful. So then I'll edit that together so that it's like, just like this. So there's one more way to do this that I'm going to show you, and that is with the drone. I'm not going to fly directly over the road, of course, and the FAA allows people to control the drone from a moving vehicle in sparsely populated areas. And as soon as I get the drone up in the air, you'll see that this is indeed a sparsely populated area. I'm now using the Osmo Action, and I'm going to just get the drone up and hover it over that cornfield over there, so that it can view the highway, and I can just park it there and I won't have to actually fly it. I can use the yaw to follow my car as I go down the road. So I'm gonna have to launch this, park it in the air, get the case back in the car, because I don't want to leave the case here. All to add a little bit of movie magic to the video. Now what I'm gonna do is give a visual cue, visual and audio cue later when I'm editing this, because of course the drone doesn't record any audio. What you're seeing is me editing audio to match the video of the drone that doesn't record audio. So first, you'll see that I'm stomping the ground just for visual representation. I'll park the marker at the very frame where my foot meets the ground. Then bingo bango, now your drone footage has synced audio.
Now what I'm going to do is, the crystal sky is awesome. It is super bright out here. I've got sunglasses on that are polarized and I can still see the image, so that's great. Taking off. Gonna wait till there's no traffic and cross the road. Here's an opening. I'm not gonna go too high. Turn around, see what it looks like. That's good. I'll be coming from that way. And just like this car right here, while I'm driving, I'll follow my car like that. I haven't done this for a long time. Here's a little bit of the last time I did this. Even though there's wires. Oh, that looks cool. All right. An added challenge is that I'm driving a stick. Needless to say, you probably shouldn't do this with a manual transmission. Hopefully I won't lose signal as I drive down here. Still got signal, gonna turn around. So let me practice. See if I can get myself here. I think that's me. Yep, that's me. So I'm gonna shift and follow myself. Now that's fun. Remember, sparsely populated areas only. This is how much you can trust DJI products. I mean, I'm not worried about the drone at all doing anything. It'll sit there till the batteries run down. So I'll probably be able to just get it in third gear, skip second, go right to third, and pan as I go by. Yes. Yes, yes. All right. Good job, little drone.
And we continue on to Paris, which is about a 30-minute drive from my hometown. These little montages are a good idea just to prevent viewer fatigue in longer videos. Here's a little fun fact about Paris, Tennessee. They claim that they have the world's biggest fish fry celebration every year. Now, that's not to say that they find a really huge fish and fry it for everybody. No, it's a celebration where everybody kind of cooks, but you know what I mean.
All right, we're gonna make a turn here on Memorial Drive. And the itty bitty mini me Eiffel Tower should be right down here. This is Paris, Tennessee. Everything around here is called Eiffel something. Eiffel Apartments. There it is. Ah, that's lovely. I'm gonna park in the shade because of the equipment. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Get the drone out. Go around about 30 times. That'd be good, right? And I probably will. But before you do that, you want to get something called an establishing shot. You know, just kind of show where you are, where this is, your subject in relation to its setting, and maybe even interview some people. If you're doing a human interest story about a replica Eiffel Tower, you might want to talk to some locals about it. I don't know, maybe you're shy. This was originally built in 1990 as part of the Memphis in May celebration, but I'll do a little bit more research and then do a narration overdub. That's probably a little bit easier to do the research later.
This Eiffel Tower replica is located in Eiffel Tower Park in Paris, Tennessee. Engineering students at Christian Brothers University originally constructed the tower to commemorate the 1990 Memphis in May festival. The tower was designed to a 1:20 scale by Tom Morrison, professor of civil engineering at Christian Brothers University. It's made of 500 pieces of Douglas fir and 6,000 steel rods. The structure was dedicated on January 29, 1993. The city of Paris acknowledged Christian Brothers University with a plaque at the base of the tower. This mini-me version of the real Eiffel Tower is 60 feet tall.
Anyway, so that's all the video I'm going to get with the drone, because drone footage is icing on a video. You don't want to junk it up like a cake with too much icing. It just ruins the cake. There wasn't a sign that said no trespassing or anything, so that's a cool angle right there. Well, that's about it for the story of the mini-me Eiffel Tower in Paris, Tennessee. Now, the real story begins. Editing. All right, here we are in the editing suite. Isn't it sweet?
Pretty sweet.
I edit with Adobe Premiere Pro. Just to start with, very basics here. I won't get into too many details with this because I don't know your level of expertise, but what I do is I go down here, tilde, and then I will unlink all of the extraneous audio. This is audio that the camera recorded, and I don't need that, so delete. This is the audio that I recorded separate, so that's what I'm going to be using. And then tilde out. You can double click on the audio track to make it bigger. I think this is my intro. Once upon a time, there was a video that told the story about how to tell a story. Okay, so I don't want that. Is this the one? Once upon a time. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Now let's go to the gas station where I can show you a little bit about multi-camera use. For this one, I used 3 cameras. The one on the back of the car, the one inside the car, and the one outside at the gas station. And what I'm doing here is I'm just making them visible or invisible by clicking on the little eyeball thing. So in order to set up a multi-camera, you highlight these, right-click, nest. And what that will do is bring all of the cameras into the same little node there. So I'm going to nest them. Now all these cameras are in this one sequence and they can't be moved. So you have to make sure that they're lined up properly. Now I can only see one of the cameras over here unless I right-click, go to multi-camera, enable, and then come over here to the little wrenchy, click on the wrench, multi-camera, and then it shows all 3 cameras. First thing we can start out with is a nice shot of me getting some gas. Now I always have gas, so I really didn't need to go to the gas. Okay, so how I would edit something like this little scene would be to... First thing we can start out with is a nice shot of me getting some gas. There's where I would want the cut, so then I'll hit the razor blade here. You can do this on the fly if you want to. You can just let it roll, and then as it's playing, depending on the speed of your computer, you can just click on the windows and it will make the cut for you. So, for instance, I'll start it. First thing we can start out with is a nice shot of me getting some gas. Of course, I had to come in here and set up all these cameras first of all, and then hope nobody got in my slot here. Oh, 238. And then that's a bargain. Back over to me. All right. I really actually do need gas. When you stop, then the cuts will be there. I know many of you watching don't necessarily enjoy editing. It's kind of tedious, especially if you're a beginner. I'll put links to some open source editing options in the description of this video, but be sure to watch my channel. If you're not already subscribed, I urge you to do so, because in the coming weeks, I will be giving away Pro Tools 10. It's
an older version of Pro Tools, but if you're just getting into editing or if you want to upgrade to a more powerful bit of software, Pro Tools.
I like editing. It's one of my favorite things to do after shooting all that footage, just getting back in the air conditioning and hanging out. I mean, you never know when somebody's gonna come a knocking or ring that doorbell, ding dong, and ask you to edit something for them. I like doorbell, ding dong, ding. I like dong. Oh, very mature, Ken. I wouldn't do that to you, would I, ladies? I wouldn't do that to you. I wouldn't do, ladies, would I? Oh, come on now. That's enough. Forget it.
Aw, where you going, Ken? Come on.
I refuse to be edited anymore.
Oh, yeah? Take that, me!